Hello! We have an Atlas 2.1 update, which is very exciting. I'm going to show you the new features and changes in this video, and we're going to have a bit of fun and experiment around with them. The first thing I want to show you is check this out. Full screen sequencer. Pretty cool. We have a toggle button up here in the top left, it's next to the X, and if I click this in full screen mode, it'll shrink down into the traditional view, and if I click it in this view, it expands out. The drum pads are located on the left now, and these work as they should do, so if I click on them with the left mouse button, it will play them. I can right click to mute and unmute, and we can also lock these and swap them out. Super cool. Another requested feature was the ability to remove notes with the right mouse button. It's a small thing, but it's a pretty decent workflow improvement in my opinion, so clicking now with the right mouse button will remove those samples, and we can click and drag. Another new feature is this similar samples panel here on the left of the map. If it's not showing, there's a toggle box here in the top left. What this does is give you quick access to samples that sound similar to the one you have selected. So there's a few ways we can use this. Firstly, I want to show you this when you're building a new kit, how you can use it to quickly build a new kit of good sounds. So I'm just going to delete everything in this drum kit. I'm going to hit play in the sequencer. Let's open it up and we'll minimize it down. So let's go ahead and just swap out the kick. One more time. One more time. There we go. So I've got this selected. These are now giving me 10 extra options of samples that are very similar to this kick. So if I click on these dots here, there we go. I like that one. So now I've found my kick. Let's do it for the hat. I'm going to swap it out. I'll try again. Okay, that's nearly there, but now I'm going to browse the similar samples until I find something I like. That sounds good. Let's do the shaker. So let's talk about how this can be really handy when you like a preset or a loop, but you want to make it your own. So I'm going to choose this Deep House Dub Funk here. I'm going to load it up. Here it is. But now I'm going to go into my maps and choose the map based on my sample directory, this one here. So now when I choose a sample that was originally from that loop or from that preset, it will give me similar samples but suggest things from my map. It'll listen to the samples that were in the loop, but then suggest things from my map that sound similar. So let's choose this clap. You'll see it's updated the similar samples here, and I'm going to move slowly up. It's worth noting that the closer the dot is to the center dot, the closer the sample is going to be. So here's the original. Let's go down instead. Let's try that. I'm going to swap out the kick. Nice. Another thing we can do is take a sample from our browser or Explorer and drag it in. And Atlas will analyze it and instantly give us some suggested similar samples from our map. So you see here it is the original, here it is here, and these are the suggestions from the map. So worth noting that the closer to the center, the closer the sample will be. So let's have a listen. We could go up. Let's stick with that one. Let's have a listen. Let's try this one here. I'll put in a few more notes. And let's pitch it right. Here we go. Awesome. It's also worth noting that this works when you select a sample in the map as well. So let me just pick a random sound, like so. You'll see these have all updated. So this will move around the map and find similar samples to what we currently have selected in the map. Another feature is dragging multiple samples into the drum kit. So I've got some samples here in my Explorer, and I'm going to select them all. And I'm going to drag them down over the drum kit. You'll see everything lights up, and when I release, it's going to populate every cell in the order in which these were dragged in. So this is all good, but perhaps not too ideal because this sequence is based around certain categories, and now these are all mixed up. I'll play it anyway so we can hear it. So you can hear we've got a hat where there should be a kick and things like that. So I'm going to stop that and click undo. I'm going to open up my Explorer again, and this time I'm going to hold down the control key. Now when I release, Atlas is going to analyze all the samples that are coming into the drum kit and put them in the appropriate categories. It's going to say, hey, I found a kick, so therefore I'm going to replace the kick. Or I found a snare and I'm going to replace the snare. If it can't find something, it just retains the old sample that was in the original kick. So now when I go back here and hit play, you can see this is all consistent. If I hit the undo button, you'll be able to see the original kit. And if I go forward or redo, here it is with the new samples. Once we've done that, there's a wee secret option here to right click on the title up here of the drum kit and choose set drums to map colors, and that will just color everything for you based on the map colors. Now I'm going to drag in a bunch of Amen samples. I've chopped this up in Ableton Live and I want to get these into the drum kit, so I'm going to drag these in like so. Give it a minute to think. This is Atlas doing its magical AI stuff, and here they all are here. But what I've noticed is some of these aren't right. So this one says other, but it's actually a hat. So what we can do now is go up into the settings up here in the top left, click on this, and we can manually assign a category to a sample or a drum pad. So I'm going to go new category and we'll pick hi-hat closed. Done. So that is now registered as a closed hi-hat. This is good if you're dragging samples in and Atlas's magic hasn't quite picked it up right, so you can now manually change that. We can also do this within the map. So let's say, hypothetically, I have some snares here, but I find a tom. Let's say this is accidentally a tom. Oh, kind of sounds like a tom anyway. So here we go. I'm going to say, this isn't a snare, this is a tom. So I'm going to go into my settings, and I'm going to change the new category to a tom, hit save, and now when I go view and map, you'll see that this has been moved into the tom category. Here it is here. Next, let's talk about extracting samples from loops. So again, I'm just going to pick a random loop here, double click. Let's just play it to have a listen. So these sample files are actually embedded within the loop file in Atlas. If I was to click on something here, say this ride, and I show it in my Explorer, you'll see that it's in this FLX file. It's all embedded into this deep house little funk file. Now what we can do is click on extract, and we can now drag this anywhere into our computer or our DAW, and we can get that sample file. To show you that this is actually a WAV file now, if I click on Show in Explorer now, it's going to open a folder and show us the actual file. So it's extracted it for us, and we can now use it freely as we like. And good news for all you Linux crew out there, you can now use Atlas 2.1 in Linux. Another addition is we can now use ASIO sound devices. So I'm going to go into my options, choose audio MIDI settings, and we can see we have ASIO or ASIO as an option, and we can now choose from our devices which support that. There's a new option when building new maps or reanalyzing maps, and that helps with categorization. So I'm going to load up my big map here, and I'm going to go down into the advanced options, and you'll see there is a toggle box for use file and folder names as category hints. So what this does is while it's analyzing all of our samples, it will look at the file names and folders to see if they have any hints. So let's say you have a kit in a folder and they're named kick and snare and hat. It's going to take that into account and use that to help categorize your samples better. So you just turn this on and you can go rebuild map, or you can just build a new map from scratch. So this is really good for getting the categories much better. And finally, let's talk about the persistent output channels. So these drum kits, they're all going out channel 1. We can see it up here, channel 1, channel 1, channel 1. I'm going to select my kick, and I'm going to go sequential. So now all of these are going to be sequential. We've got channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. Now if I take a new kit from somewhere, let's say I borrow one from Deep House Warm. Here's a kit. I'm going to drag it in, and you'll see it's now persistent. So this remains at channel 3 and this remains at channel 4. So this is good if you're using this with your DAW or some external gear and you want to load in some new kits, but you don't want it to default back to channel 1 all the time.